Hi, I'm Dominic, you're watching Dominic's Woodworks, and this is the fourth and for now last video in the Rauhnacht-Series. Check out the introduction in the corner, and now, welcome to the morning before the last Rauhnacht, at least for this year, which is technically last year already. Are you starting to feel safe again? With the evil of the Rauhnächte coming to a close, I want to tell you about another aspect of the myth and lore surrounding those dark times. While the Wild Hunt covers a lot of ground regarding monsters and evil creatures, there are some that are said to roam the land alone or in small groups, looking for mortals to terrorize or just having a plain mean time. Those monsters are called Perchten, at least around here, because like so many things, the name varies from region to region. They are humanoid shapes with fur and animal features like horns and claws. Just like the Wild Hunt, they become strongest and their sightings most frequent at the end of the Rauhnacht cycle, probably because they are not happy about having to leave this realm again for almost a year. While they were evil beasts, most had what modern role players or comic book nerds would call an origin story. A reason for them to roam the night and being out for blood. Thus, they are distinctly local creatures, based on local events and probably unheard of a few towns over. Then again, there would be horror stories about similar monsters there with different backstories. Some manifestations of the concept sound archetypical to us, like the Black Spirit Dog, the White Woman, or the Will-o'-the-Wisp, under different names with different stories. Travelers getting lost or lured off track are common themes, just as the victims of brutality or accident seeking revenge on, basically, anyone and everyone. Sometimes, these Perchten are also tasked with policing the Rauhnächte, so to speak. They make sure that everyone obeys the rules, whatever they are, and however they may vary, just like the tales themselves. They might come when your house is not tidied up, just like the Wild Hunt. Playing cards is forbidden during the Rauhnächte, so the Perchten might get you on your way home from the tavern. In some regions, there are monsters that specialize in a certain field, like the Roggenmuhme, who would punish farm girls for not spinning off the wool of their spindle until the last Rauhnacht. Some of those rules seem arbitrary, like not playing cards. Others reflected behavior that was generally encouraged, like tidying up or finishing your chores. Others, however, like the one about women and girls being forbidden from going outside after dark, sound, at least to our modern ears, like men having their way. After all, many a drunkard had stories about the wild hunt to tell the next day, or maybe he hid from the Perchten looking for him. But men being men in the most negative sense possible aside, there are ways to ward your homes against evil, and just like evil was at its strongest during the Rauhnächte, this was also the time to satisfy all your supernatural protection needs for your home and family. For example, a farmer would feed his animals consecrated bread to ward off not only evil, but also sickness for the coming year, which in the minds back then was probably one and the same. To achieve effective protection for the whole farm was a little more demanding. You had to treat every room with incense and holy water, and to top it off, a holy water-soaked snowball had to be thrown over the house, stable and shed. I guess that years without snow were bound to be pretty evil ones, but then again, around here snow is pretty much guaranteed, at least in the higher regions. Also, this would be something easily adapted to regional circumstances. Just imagine, the holy mudball of evil be gone. But seriously, people back in the day were taking this more serious than that, and I can see where they are coming from. It gave them something to do and something to blame. It sounds funny to say, oh, the cows got sick, maybe I did not throw the snowball right. But in reality, with your livelihood and that of your family depending on the livestock, this would have been a catastrophe, and any kind of structure would have helped to keep it together. You saw me make a mask, and it has to do with something else that people decided would be a prudent measure to keep the Perchten away, scaring them off. But what could such a monster possibly be scared of? Well, other Perchten, of course. This tradition has seen a revival in recent years, with groups in costume performing at Christmas fairs and similar events. There are even a few Rauhnacht fairs too. They use a mix of folklore and pyrotechnics to conjure up the Rauhnächte for entertainment. But centuries ago, dressing up as monsters and dancing through the streets served another purpose. to keep the real evil away. Of course, the modern mind might say that when people dress up as monsters, then maybe the real Perchten can mingle without being recognized. True, but then again, I assume that if you asked the Perchten who the real monsters were, they would say humans. So that's the mask in its current configuration. Does it make it another fail? I don't think so, but I ran out of pine cones, even though I thought I had enough. One thing I would do differently next time is not do the back of the head, but instead go further down here, and then do something for the back that I might now need to do for the front. And yes, let's improvise. Do something like this, or a piece of fur would work as well. We could improvise some kind of bestial clothing to put in front of here. We could go even further and add a mouth here, like a wolf's snout. We can use the same technique with the cloth and the wood glue to model it. I hope this inspires you if you want to make a mask. I think the main takeaway here is the technique. I've seen it used before. It's also used to make armor or shields. Actually, I think this technique has been used historically, but don't quote me on that. So I hope you like these videos about the Rauhnächte as well as the projects that I made. I'll do follow-up videos about those where I talk more about the making process as well as outtakes and a little bit of, well, different plans for those projects where I had them. If you have questions, ideas or anything else that you want to tell me, leave that down in the comments. I'd always love to hear from you. Have a happy 2017 and remember to be inspired.